that's what will never forget is like that gate. It makes a sound, right? You know, you hear a buzz that, and so it opens and you walk in and then it closes. And that class happened at lunchtime or chow time.
Oh my.
And so it's me walking this direction and 2,000 hungry guys walking this direction, unescorted. And so that was memorable.
I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron Tiarina.
And I'm Kathy Tiarina.
And today we have a wonderful, amazing guest with us today, a dear friend of ours by the name of...
Chris Ridley.
Chris Ridley.
Chris Ridley, one of our favorite people in the whole world.
Hallelujah.
We have been on a journey together for some time.
Yeah.
And so it's great to finally get you on TYRO TV. I feel like early on, maybe we had you on TYRO TV.
I was on a segment maybe. And yeah, it's been a long wait. The day's finally here.
So I think even in that segment, it was one of their first seasons.
It was. Yeah.
You didn't have all the children you have today.
That's possible. Yeah.
It's probably like, now all those kids.
All those kids. Yeah.
Make it sound like you've got dozens.
I have 4 children.
It's not that many. 4 is like not even a whole hand.
That's right.
We are so grateful that you took time to be with us today because we, there's a lot of things happening in your life and we want to talk about that. Your time here at the Ridge Project, unfortunately, is coming to an end.
It's the end of an era.
The end of an era.
And beginning of another one.
Beginning of a new one.
And I want you to know we love you. We appreciate you. You have made the Ridge Project amazing, so much better with what the skill set that you brought. Didn't even know you had.
Yeah. Right? It was a surprise to everybody.
We weren't surprised.
But you grew from a facilitator all the way to our what would that title be?
Director of Business Operations.
And even a CFO, right?
Yeah.
And just happened that intelligence that was harnessed inside you.
Okay.
We pulled it out.
You did. That's right. That's right.
We had to dig it.
It was so buried. You got it.
Come on, you got this.
So Chris,
yes.
let's think back because you've been with the Ridge Project for a long time.
What is that? 16 years?
Almost 16 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to, if you would just share, I think, as we share memories together and this whole big journey, I think that, just hearing your journey is going to inspire people, men and women that, sometimes you step into something and it's where you're supposed to be, but you don't see the whole picture.
Yeah.
And so what even brought you to the Ridge Project? Why did you come in the first place?
Yeah. So initially, I've been thinking about this question, actually. You reflect a lot. And so initially, a friend had introduced me and I was unemployed. I was looking for a job and I was looking for meaningful work. And I got as much information as, hey, I work for this place. It's a great place and you should really come check it out. And so I didn't have a ton of information. I came and I got to meet with the two of you. And the rest is history. Yeah. You shared your vision, your story, your passion for serving people. And what really motivated me was transforming a community. And you really explained that we're transforming communities by impacting people and families individually. Mm-hmm. If you change a person, you change their family. You change their family, you change a community. Yeah. And then I got to see that it wasn't just talk. It was the real deal. It was like you were going into places where people didn't want to go and serving people. You say, we serve people who people didn't want to serve. And that's where transformation was taking place. So that's what attracted me. It was.
So how old were you when you came on board?
I was 26 years old.
Man.
I was maybe a little naive. I think you had asked me, you're like, do you feel okay, comfortable going into a prison? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. I was like, I'd never been in a prison parking lot, much less been in a prison. But so a friend shared this quote with me the other day, and it's by, I think, G.K. Chesterton. And it says, an adventure is an inconvenience rightly considered, and an inconvenience is an adventure wrongly considered.
Wow.
And this has been an adventure,
Wow.
and I've loved it. Like every day, there's been ups, there's been downs, but it's been on an adventure, and we've been on it together.
Yeah.
And we've been transforming lives, and so that's what drew me in. That's what's kept me here.
Yeah.
So, what was your first taste of the penitentiary world? And that, because people, that's so far removed from a lot of people's lives that they don't even look twice. They don't even believe it even exists. Some people
don't even think about it.
Don't even think about it. It's not part of their normal, thought.
I want to hear like the whole experience.
The whole experience.
So you pull up to a prison.
Yeah.
Like okay, what are you thinking? What are you experiencing? I don't know if I've ever even asked you that.
Yeah. So, our process is when we hire a new facilitator, they shadow an existing facilitator. So at the time I was hired on, there was Ron and Daryl Brown, or the two male facilitators. And and so I was shadowing either Ron or Daryl. So initially, like, I don't even actually remember the first time going into a prison, because I was with Ron and Daryl, and we were teaching communication classes. You were there. I mean, we all traveled together. So this is going to sound weird, but it felt very comfortable and safe. I was with people I trusted. The one that's the most memorable is the first time I went in by myself.
Okay.
And that was at Pickaway Correctional, and just outside of Columbus, Ohio. And I think the class was on a Monday morning, and I got a phone call over the weekend. You guys had gotten a call to go speak in Washington, D.C., and so that was the class that Ron taught that I had been shadowing. And so was like, you're up to bat, Chris. We're going to be. And so I drove to Pickaway, and you park, and there's fence, there's these big brick buildings, there's barbed wire, the whole experience. And you walk into a prison visiting room, or into the reception center, and there's guards, there's metal detectors, all of that stuff. And so you go through the detector, you sign in, and then at the time, like, I was unescorted. They're like, all right, you're here with the Ridge Project. You know what you're supposed to do. And so the programming building was in the middle of campus. So, like, that's what will never forget is like that gate. It makes a sound, right? You hear a buzz that, and so it opens, and you walk in, and then it closes. And that class happened at lunchtime or chow time.
Oh my.
And so it's me walking this direction and 2,000 hungry guys walking this direction, unescorted. And so that was memorable. And I was like,
I bet.
at the time, like, I felt safe, I felt comfortable. And, it's like young Chris was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I can't believe
what I get to
I'm
do.
in prison.
We all start somewhere, with questions, doubts, and the unknown. But growth begins when you take that first step, when you seek the right guidance. Through insights, self-reflection, and real-world experience, you will build the skills necessary to become someone worth following. It's about overcoming your past and embracing the person you're destined to become. Growth begins with you. Empower your future with TYRO.
I mean, I'm thinking about your own transformation, your own growth, your own experience, empowering other men who are older than you with what it means to be a man of honor.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Completely different life experiences.
Yeah.
Two different tracks.
Yeah. It causes you to grow instantly. And I think there's a part of our culture that doesn't celebrate strong men. And one of the things I have appreciated about working in prisons and working here is, like, we celebrate strong, healthy men.
Yes.
And so to go into a class, like, you have to be strong and you have to be healthy and you have to be confident to answer questions. Like, and so I think I was challenged and grew really quickly. If you ask my wife, she's like, the Ridge Project made you a man. And so she thanks you too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we put people to the fire, right? You put a test,
Yeah.
It's because physically in age, okay, we might be adults,
Right.
but are we healthy? Are we confident?
Yeah.
And I've heard, I mean, actually, we hear often wives say, the TYRO program or TYRO caused my husband, my brother, my son to become a man.
Yeah.
And I think that those key foundational principles that we learn, we apply, and then we teach help us really understand what does it mean to be strong, to be healthy, to be contributing, to be confident. And where does our confidence come from? But from experience, right? And knowing who we are.
Yeah.
Because if I don't know who I am, then, I'm
life,
constantly struggling to try to
floundering
just
through
be
life.
whoever you want me to be.
Yeah.
And what I really appreciate about watching you grow,
Yeah.
you didn't run from any challenge. When we would need something, we would say, well, let's see if Chris can do it. And not only, if you didn't know how to do it, what we appreciate about you is that, let me open a book.
Yeah.
Let me go online. Let me start studying.
Especially early on. Like my favorite answer from you, and I don't even know if you remember even saying this, you'd be like, well, I've never done it before, but I'm pretty sure I can.
Yep.
So you'd be like, you'd come back and you'd say, well, this is what, here, this is my first attempt.
Yeah.
And it was that willingness to try. And I think that is something that has become an anomaly in society today. It's like, no, I don't understand it. I don't know how to do it. I'm not even going to try. It seems to permeate our culture instead of, you know what, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to try. And it's okay if I fail because I'll just try again. And that's something that I really, really have appreciated about you.
If I could, before you speak, Chris, because one of the things that I think people have forgotten, when they get a job, they think that's the end of it. When they when they go into a factory or they maybe start in entry-level positions and they think that's as far as they can get. How hungry, where does that hunger come from? Where did you get that hunger to not want to, I'm not settling for this, just a great position, but I want more.
Yeah, that's a great question. So first, I want to say one of the things that I have appreciated about you as the leaders and founders of the Ridge has been you've made it a safe place to fail and then get up and succeed. Like I love taking risks and or embarking on things that I've never done before, learning new things and working through problems and solving issues. And this is a great place to do that. And so I appreciate that about you both.
Awesome.
And then to your question about like, where does that come from? I was thinking as you were talking, like maybe a childhood spent playing with Legos, like always building and solving problems. But no, I think, I'm a Christian. My faith is a big part of my life. I know we share that. And I feel a responsibility to always give my best. And so I think that's important. I don't always feel like giving my best. We all have days where you're under the weather or, there's maybe there's a personal situation going on or whatever, and you don't feel like giving 100. But there are people counting on you, and that may be your children, that may be your clients, that may be the company you work for. But I think understanding that and feeling the responsibility, this isn't about me, and I think we teach that well here. This isn't about us. If it's just about us, then if we're the center of our own universe, then then it's chaos. It's all about us, but it's not all about us.
Yeah.
So
and I appreciate that you were willing to put on a different hat, right?
How many times have you exchanged hats?
And
a lot of hats.
And I mean, and the truth is, that's a lot of lanes.
Yeah.
A lot of times society will teach us stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
And then when you start to stay in your own lane for too long and you become so complacent and so comfortable, you stop dreaming.
Yeah.
And I appreciate about you, Chris. You have not stopped dreaming. You have not stopped wanting to grow. You know, you were 26 years old, Chris. You came to work for the Ridge Project, but it didn't just stop there. You not only grew at the Ridge Project from a facilitator to a director, project director, to a grant writer, a budget writer, a fiscal officer, what is that? The office, taking care of all the things that take to run a business, to a director, to running the building, things of that nature. But not only that, you went into real estate. You said, you know what? Okay, I'm doing this. What else can I do to create a legacy for my family outside of just this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you started to buy retail properties.
I did.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, I like to be busy. I like to learn and be challenged. And yeah, I think legacy building for your family is something that we teach, right? And so one of the things I love is like what we do here at Ridge is not just theoretical. It's not just academic. It's like we live this out and we encourage people to live it out. So yeah, I think studying or reading a book on, financial independence, and they were talking about how real estate is a great investment for like legacy wealth building. And so I was like, well, I don't know much about investing, but I did work as a construction worker when I was a kid in high school. And so let's figure this out. And so, I think that's another part of it too, is optimism, like believing that you can succeed. I try and tell my kids this all the time when they're, maybe frustrated or struggling with learning something. I was like, all right, let's stop, let's take a breath, and let's just say, we're gonna figure this out. Right. And if you start from a position of we can fix this or we can figure this out, then that's what's going to happen. But if we start in a position of I'm stuck here, I'm never going to figure this out, I'm never going to be beyond.
It's impossible.
We've predicted the outcome. Yeah. And so again, that's something I love about here is we challenge that all the time. It's like you can be better, you can do this, you can achieve. And so and then we provide the supports to do that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because watching your children today excel, and watching your family grow and to a place of where you have built a great establishment for your family.
Yeah, a great foundation. I love having. So we now the little toddler that we met when you first came works here. Right?
That's crazy.
And it is insane. I look at him all the time and I'm like, CJ, he said or did something that I said, oh my goodness, you're just like your dad. Right? But he's so...
I'm sorry.
I love it, right? And I watch him dream. I watch him take risks and say, well, let me try it this way. And then sometimes he says, oh, no, that didn't work. Oh, that wasn't the way I envisioned in my head.
And the great thing about CJ, he's teachable.
I
he's
love
teachable.
that.
Yeah.
And he takes constructive criticism very well.
Yeah.
Right? And he pivots.
Yeah.
He's not set in stone. He's still growing and learning and wanting to be taught.
He's never said, well, that's the best I can do. And he says, well, what do you think of this? And you want me to change it? And I love that, because that's the best I can do says, that's a set mindset.
Yeah.
I can't do any better. Even if you don't like it, if it's mediocre, that's just the way it is. And you're right. We don't have that here. So when you came and so you were a facilitator and then you moved into these other roles. Yeah. So looking back on your whole career, because you've got weeks away before you actually transition into a new job, which we'll talk about in a minute. Sure. What do you think was the most challenging role that you held and why?
Oh, that is a great question. When I first transitioned from being a facilitator to moving into operations. So maybe just thinking back. So there were, I think, 13 employees at the Ridge Project when I was first hired on. And then there were some funding regulation changes. And I think there were like 7 of us. So some people left. And then we had written some grants. So the most challenging time, I think, for me personally, just growth wise, was waiting to hear on some grants.
Oh, yeah.
That because we had a grant expiring, we had written several grant applications, and it was basically like the one was going to expire, and then we weren't going to know about the other one until the same day.
Yeah.
And so I'm like contemplating my future of like, am I going to be unemployed and things? And so, but then we got both of those grants. And so we went from like 7 employees to 54 employees over the course of a year.
Yeah.
And so it was crazy. That's crazy growth.
Crazy
right?
growth. Yeah.
And so
that's that hockey stick.
Yeah, exactly. That was, I think a challenging time, and it was challenging because I was a facilitator. So I was in this role of teaching, interacting with clients, and reporting directly to you guys and doing, but I wasn't managing anybody. And so all of a sudden I was in this position of hiring new people.
You're the veteran now.
Yeah, I was the vet. Really, it was.
Chris, help us set culture with all these people.
Yeah.
That was it. So I was thrust into this leadership position, and so it was really exciting. I loved it, but I had to grow because all of a sudden I wasn't just managing my workload. I was managing a workload and people that you had to coach and train. And,
and no one saw that coming.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
When we first met, I had only been home from prison.
I don't know. What year was it?
It was 2009.
So
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and you didn't know that.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I knew that.
But you didn't know that,
It's
but we growing together in our roles and understanding, how do we make people better? How do we humble ourselves?
Yeah.
And we teach here at the Ridge Project, and I know that you embrace this principle.
Yeah.
That we become rock stars when we walk into prisons, and you're bringing this type of powerful hope to individuals. But we teach, and you taught this well, that there's only one rock, and stars fall every day.
Yeah, I love that quote.
Right?
Yeah.
And we have to remember to stay flat-footed because we're not to fix it all.
Yeah.
Right? We're just bringing tools and principles and how to activate them in people's lives. And then we have to trust that what we brought them is going to grow into something beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's where we put our faith and trust in whom we serve.
Amen.
Right?
So I have another question for Chris. Sorry.
All right. That's okay.
Great word. I love it too. Just thinking about not being the rock. but also being the solid foundation for your family and understanding, like, how do I build a foundation that will last beyond me? And so we've watched you do that, not just here, which you've contributed, and your fingerprints will be here for a very long time, but in your family and really making your family the priority while also being a phenomenal employee. So how do you do that? How do you balance that?
It's a great question. And I think sometimes, there's inevitably conflicts. Your family has demands, your work has demands. And so I think some of it is trust. Like I trust you as my employer, and you trust me that I'm going to get the job done. And my family trusts me that I'm going to lead them well. But that didn't happen overnight, right? Like I did well as a facilitator, and then when the opportunity to grow into management came, I did well there. And so trust is built, and the same in your family. Like, it's being faithful in the small things, and that builds trust and faith that you are who you say you are, and you are. So I think, how do you balance it is sometimes you do say no to things like work is important to me and family is important to me, and there've been other things that you just that you don't do. And again, I think this is not just a job. This is a passion, and I'm passionate about my family, and I'm passionate about helping people. And that's what we do here. So I don't actually feel like really there's been, like, with work or anything, like a conflict. Like, we're serving people, we're helping people, and we're helping my family. And one of the things I love here is, like, we've talked about my family a lot. My kids, my wife has worked here, my son works here now. Like, we're all in on family. You embrace families. My kids grew up running the hallways here.
Oh gosh, I miss that so much.
And so I think that's part of the balance is, like, we have a culture that embraces family. And so, that's what we're all in on that.
So we have about 5 minutes left. Okay. And so I don't want to end the show without talking about this new opportunity and your transition, because as hard as it is to lose you,
we are thrilled.
It's like watching your kids grow up and move out. Right.
And we're excited about what your next chapter is, because we know our relationship is going to continue as you establish yourself in this new chapter.
So what are you moving into?
So I am going to be a financial advisor. I'm going to work for a company called Thrivent Financial that invests. It does, retirement planning, investing, wealth building, and so I get to help people, build financial legacies for their families, and even planning. I think we've all heard the statement, "Failing to plan is planning to fail."
Yes.
And so even just in the basics of, like, we plan for lots of things. We plan for buying groceries. We plan for vacations. We plan for birthday parties. Well, one day we're going to retire, and so we got to plan for that. Or maybe it's planning for kids' college or a vehicle purchase, those kinds of things. And so get to help people be intentional and deliberate about managing their money and finances,
and which is really important in life today.
It is, yeah. And so the office that I'm going to be working out of is just a few miles from my house, and so it's close to home. Kids are at an age where they're involved in a million different things,
and pretty soon they'll be
out.
And
and those days are growing shorter.
Well, we are so excited for you, and really anticipating great things in your next chapter. We tell people that are retiring, you're retiring, and they're like, well, I said, what are you going to do next? They said, well, I don't know. I said, but instead of retiring, into nothing, you should be retiring into something.
Yeah, that's right.
What are you retiring into?
Yeah.
Not retiring from.
We have no doubt that you are going to do fantastic because you've managed finances here. You've helped us establish a program, a 403B, and said, hey, you know what? We need to be doing better about helping take care of people financially and plan for their future. And so it's just like, as hard as it is to let you go,
it's going to be difficult.
It is right. You know, it's like the next chapter in the book of Chris.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
The book of Chris.
Yeah. Well, and I've appreciated your grace in this transition time. It is starting to become more real.
Yeah.
And so, you think a lot about the past and I've so many good memories here. I'm looking forward to the ones to come.
Yeah.
And I thank you for the opportunity that I've had to
So,
serve
Chris,
here.
before we close out, if there's anything you want to say to our audience.
So this will be inside institutions primarily, and then
Okay.
of course to families. What would your like one or two things that you would really want people to know about building a strong family, about why healthy relationship is important, or really anything on your heart?
Yeah.
You tell that
look
cat.
at
Yeah,
right there.
absolutely. I think that one of the most important lessons I've learned in life is to know that you're responsible. You can do it wherever you're at, whatever life circumstances have thrown your way. I used a quote earlier, an inconvenience is an adventure looked at in the wrong way. So you may be inconvenienced right now. You may be in a place in life where you don't want to be, and know that whether you're stuck there for a while or maybe a short time, you have the power to define what that's like, not just for you, but for the people around you, for your family. And the Ridge Project, TYRO, we're here supporting you. It's not just you. You don't have to do it alone. You have great people and great resources around you supporting you. So I think my word is be optimistic, be courageous, be the change that you want to be, right? Be the change you want to see. And finally, you know, I appreciate you guys so much. I thank you for the opportunities. You know, I'm not just an employee here. I'm a TYRO. So am I able to sign off?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So my name is Chris Ridley, and I am a TYRO.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for joining us.
So thank you all for allowing us to be part of your journey. And until next time, always remember that we are rooting for you.